Have you ever been to the beautiful island of Lanzarote? I did once when I was 15 and it was amazing. I had a fantastic trip with a friend and her mum and dad, but something happened there that made me question things, and I was sharing it with a client recently and I thought I'd share it with you and do a quick video. My name is Jules Wyman and I'm a coach and run a coaching practice here in the beautiful city of York, and I mainly focus on looking at confidence and all aspects of confidence, be that self-esteem, self-belief, self-worth. And my main role as a coach, I believe, is changing and challenging people's perspective of themselves and confidence. Because when you redefine yourself and when you redefine confidence for yourself, then you can make a greater change for yourself. So last week, I think it was, I was having a conversation with a client exactly about that. And I thought I'd share this with you because when you make those kinds of changes, when you make that shift in perspective, so much else in your life can change in an instant. So I was 15 years old and I'm in Lanzarote on holiday with my friend and her mum and dad. And we're doing these little trips and excursions, and we go into this cave trip. And it's not kind of like tiny caves, it's these big caverns. It's beautiful, and the guide is giving us all the geology and about the stalactites and the stalagmites and where they're from and what the rock formations and how long they've been there, etc., etc. We walk through, I don't remember how long for, and then we all gather as a group. It must have been about 20 of us, I think, and we all gather as a group, and he gives us this little talk. And he says that, gives us more information about where we're stood in this huge kind of like dome, kind of like a concert hall kind of cavern. And then he points over yonder and says, you see that path over there? That's the one we're going to go on to next. So we're going to have to go single file, because the path was roughly about 3 foot wide. And it looked to have on the right hand side of it a sheer drop. Now, I don't know about anybody else in the group, but myself, I was petrified of heights. So the fact that we were going to go across that, and my belief at that time was, I can't do this. That's too scary. I can't possibly do that. And I was kind of looking around at my friend and her parents and getting myself all worked up. And I remember kind of thinking to myself that I didn't know what to do, and how on earth am I going to get across, and could I go back, and trying to come up with all these different scenarios as to how to get out of this. And then the guide said, would you like to know how deep the cavern is? Who'd like to throw a stone? So one of the people at the front picked up a stone, walked towards the edge of the cavern and tossed in this rock, which we were obviously waiting to hear, second after second and after second of silence before it finally would hit the bottom. But in actual fact, what happened was they threw the rock, and within seconds, splash, it hit a lake. And what we'd actually been looking at was the reflection of this amazing cavern. You see, this lake had nothing to disturb its surface, so it was completely still. And the form, what it was made up of, it had these crystals in it, which made it so clear that it completely reflected the ceiling and looked like, therefore, that it was this huge cavern, and it wasn't. And in that instant, the whole group were like, that's when you really found out how many people had been scared of walking across the path, even if they're pretending. And the giggles went off, and people kind of, the mood lightened. And I was sharing this with a client last week to illustrate to him how quite often we need to metaphorically pick up that rock, and let's just test if what we think is scary is actually what it is. Because so often we make assumptions, we make mind reads, we judge things, we just assume that these things are going to be a certain way, when in actual fact they could be something completely different, which would make your journey even easier. So the next time you're facing something that you perceive as a challenge, maybe look for what the alternative perceptions are. And that may mean writing them down, having a conversation with somebody, or even giving your friendly coach a ring, and we can have a chat about it. So remember that story. Subscribe to the YouTube channel so you can make sure that you get updates of the new stories and other videos as they come in. And if you have any specific questions that you would like a video on, then just let me know. And I look forward to speaking to you again soon. Bye.